Street Live in association with
Reham WhatsApp. Feel it within.
Mbadde nga nkyasoma ndi muvaka S4 kati muvaka S4 nga ntungira muzina ensawo omulimu guno ngumazeemu emyezi 2 nabiyigira Kenya anti wange yantwala kuba abeerayo nfunyemu school fees ezigenda okuntwala ku S5 obuzibu bwensanze material mujjawala abavubuka bave mu betting bafune emirimu egy'okkola batandikewo kale business obutonotono oba oli awo basobola okuyitamu.
Street Live in association with
Reham WhatsApp. Feel it within.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here.
What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week?
I say they're shortly. Me, I'd be looking to sell.
At what price?
More. Much, much more.
I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
NTV, turning on your world.
Very good afternoon once again. You're welcome to NTV at One. My name is Malcolm Sime. Let's have a look at the headlines first. Running for a 5th term, 181 signatures collected so far, endorsing President Yoweri Museveni as NRM's party flag bearer for the 2016 presidential elections. And the land conflict takes a terrible turn as unknown assailants ban and kill one in Mubende. 2 others have been rushed to hospital. Challenging Uganda's anti-homosexuality bill, Kenyan pro-gay activists stage a rare protest outside the Uganda High Commission in Nairobi. This is NTV at One. Members of the NRM caucus currently at the retreat in Changpanzi have gone ahead to pen, collect and append their signatures on a proposal seeking to have President Museveni stand for a 5th term. The decision, they believe, will give them more latitude when they put their proposals to the National Executive Council and the Central Executive Committee. So far, 181 signatures have been collected from members of parliament and a number of ministers and ex-officials.
Yes, on Sunday we went to the president's farm in Goma, yes. And I moved the motion and had seconders. And after moving the motion, I asked members who are in support of the motion to stand up and support the motion. Apparently, everyone stood up and supported the motion. But after moving the motion, yes. I didn't have where members could append their signatures. So members urged me to work on a document where they could sign and say, we, the unassigned members, urge His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and endorse him and nominate him and endorse him as our flag bearer for NRM 2016. And they said there is no way they can do it just by standing up, but they want to personally append their signatures to it and also have a debate to express how they're going to do the mobilization at the grassroots and even call upon the other party organs like the National Delegates Conference, which is the final body that gets the flag bearer. They also want to give strategies of how they're going to do the mobilization for the president. As I speak, I have 181 members who have signed, and I still have more members who are coming in to sign. Some of them are chairing sessions, and that's why they have not been able to sign. But I know by the time that I'm going to be presenting, they would all have signed this document.
The Democratic Party is not too happy with the decision by the NRM caucus to frank President Museveni as their party flag bearer come 2016. The DP President Norbert Mao says Museveni as party flag bearer for the NRM does not make it level competing ground.
The Chankwanze chorus choir is singing another hymn. That is their way of doing things. I cannot blame them. But I can state that it is not a good sign for Uganda. Paraclastism is not a good sign for Uganda. So NRM is now like a gun with only one bullet, which is not a very good defense strategy. It's not for me to say NRM should not insist on their candidate, but it is for me to say it raises the stakes for 2016 and makes our efforts at electoral reform an uphill task. So if we are looking for a joint opposition flag bearer, the question is to ask, what is the job of the joint opposition flag bearer? And then, having stated the role, then we are in a position to have candidates.
Still on matters relating to 2016, the UPDF's retired officer, Major General Bernard Biraro, says he has chosen to stand for the presidency in 2016 elections to reduce the high poverty levels brought about by what he called the unjust and dishonest government of President Museveni. Chris Ochamringa had an exclusive interview with the long-serving former officer.
In 1986, we are still paying the Ruwer War debts. When you go to Ruwer, you see apathy, no development. Then you talk about Bonava Gagawari. You look at what is happening on the ground, you don't see anything. No coordination, nothing. No. And then you look at these NADs. What I will do of that program is to ensure that regions start in a planned manner to ensure that what they receive will translate it to industrial growth later on. If it is an area that will grow mangoes, let it grow mangoes until we can pack mangoes in that zone.
One person has died and 2 others have been rushed to hospital in Mubende district, Kamusenene village. Arson is suspected in the fire that many believe is a result of a bitter row. We have a report about a house that was gutted by fire in Mubende.
The neighborhood's attention was drawn to the fire by the screams coming from the burning house. But by the time anyone could reach the house to perhaps help in some way, Fred Nyenje, a 45-year-old man, had already died.
We tried to put out the fire, but we failed, until the fire brigade came and extinguished it.
2 other people in the house were by then critically injured. The 2 were rushed to hospital. Locals say this could be a case of arson. They suspect that the wife of one of the injured could have set the house on fire over misunderstanding pertaining to land and property.
After 10 years of separation, they got back together. Then they got misunderstandings again.
The police have been brought up to speed on the matter and they have started investigations.
Kenyan pro-gay activists and their supporters staged a rare protest outside the Uganda High Commission in the capital Nairobi. The activists were protesting the move by Uganda legislators to pass into law the anti-homosexuality bill.
Dropping the rainbow colors commonly associated with gays and lesbians, the protesters staged peaceful demonstrations outside the Ugandan High Commission offices in Nairobi. Their attempts to get audience with the commissioner to hand her a letter petitioning against Uganda's anti-homosexuality bill were futile. Speaking to the press outside the commissioner's office, the pro-gay group termed the bill as draconian, stating that the effects of the bill were already being felt at entry points to Uganda, as most gays and lesbians were being denied entry into the country.
We are here as gays and lesbians of the Kenyan community to express solidarity with the gays and lesbians and the trans community of Uganda over the recently passed anti-homosexuality bill by the Ugandan Parliament. We understand that the bill has been presented before President Museveni for consideration and that he has 30 days to either accede to it or reject it. If he does not respond to Parliament within 30 days, Parliament can pass the bill nonetheless with a 2/3 majority and make it law. This bill has major repercussions to human rights conditions across the East African community, and actually most of us are here because we are members of the EAC, and we are concerned about the fundamental freedoms such as association, equality and privacy that are going to be affected once this bill comes into law. Already the effects of the bill can be felt. Gays and lesbians are crossing the border.
The Uganda anti-homosexuality bill, commonly referred to as Kill the Gays Bill, due to its originally proposed death penalty that was proposed in favor of life imprisonment, awaits presidential assent this week to become law. However, President Yoweri Museveni had last month said he would only sign the bill into law if a committee of scientists he set up proved that gays are made and not born, as widely believed. But the group differs. Protesters cautioned Ugandan government officials not to advocate for the anti-homosexuals bill as members of their own families could be homosexual. The petition seeks to lobby President Museveni not to sign the bill on grounds that it contravenes Uganda's law on privacy. They further sought to remind the head of state not to betray the history of Uganda, as gays and lesbians have lived in the country since time immemorial.
Stop killing us! Stop killing us! Stop killing us! Stop killing us!
Last month, the Speaker of Parliament received a tongue lash from the President for what he called passing the bill without quorum, but insisted that gays are abnormal people who can be rescued through economic empowerment. The bill, first introduced in 2009 by Honorable David Bahati, sparked international outrage for what activists termed as punitive measures and intrusion of human rights. The bill is expected to return to Parliament for further discussions, and if the President declines it twice, it will, according to the Ugandan Constitution, automatically become law. Sheila Nduhuchire, NTV, Nairobi.
We're now going to take a short break. NTV at One comes back with more news shortly. Do stay with us.
Now On is brought to you by Dairy Fresh Flavored Milk. Enjoy the tasty and nutritious goodness of Dairy Fresh Flavored Milk. Delicious to the last drop. Brookside, goodness for all.
This One Wash Challenge will test Ariel and your leading powder to see which is the best stain removal in Uganda. First, chocolate, then tea. Finally, we will wash half with your leading powder and half with Ariel. Did your leading powder remove the stains? And what about Ariel? Look, Ariel has cleaned in just one wash. So the best stain removal of Uganda in one wash is Aerial, best stain removal in one wash.
Welcome back from the break. This is NTV at One. Now, in a renewed effort to boost the Somali National Army, the African Union Mission in Somalia, otherwise known as AMSOM, has completed the training program for the first Inter-Clan Light Infantry Company to combat the Al-Shabaab threats in the capital. Soldiers drawn from different commands in Somalia have undergone a 6-month rigorous training from the basic rifle marksmanship to moving as a group in formation during a planned attack. AMSOM conducts regular training of the Somali National Forces as part of its exit strategy, where 130 trainees managed to complete the training.
At the end of the day, we will want to have the Somalis army trained, because we are not going to be here all the time. There will come time when we'll have to rotate out or to transition from the operations in Somalia and say that now enough is enough. We have trained enough Somalis. They will also be able to carry out their own operations and handle their own country affairs.
On to Uganda now, where a taxi driver managed to get himself into quite a predicament. The taxi driver engaged in a scuffle with Itoda enforcement officers, found himself entangled with his steering wheel. Identified as Ashraf, he was in a taxi with passengers from Bujiri. The taxi was intercepted along the Jinja-Iganga highway.
The driver, in an attempt to run from Utoda officers, somehow got his legs stuck in the steering wheel. Efforts to disentangle him from the wheel brought no results, until when colleagues from Bujiri hired a mechanic to unfasten the wheel. The taxi driver was later rushed into a waiting ambulance that then made for Bujiri Hospital.
Ekikolebwa ku driver wa taxi kikola kikya mwino bw'ogira ku democracy eriwo saawa dino Itoda eri kubanda esente nga ibandisa kifuba etoola abaana abano ab'endaaye beereeta babanda esente.
Area Vice Chairman Yazid Muwaya dismissed the driver's antics, calling them games. He also cautioned drivers to adhere to Utoda regulations and avoid confrontation.
Driver mwene yakikola deliberately yatoola amagulu ge yata mu steering yagazingira mule ngaidi nti kiba kizibu enforcement okumusikula ku steering nga amagulu amaze okugangiza mulati so bwe twagezaako enforcement bwe yagezaako okumusikayo yabona nga teida kusobola basigalaawo.
Egyptians are marking the 3rd anniversary of the toppled former Egyptian dictator Hosni Mubarak as protests against the ouster of deposed President Mohamed Morsi continue. That's why thousands gather in streets of Tehran to mark the day that created the Islamic Republic, ending the reign of US allied Shah. The anti-coup alliance in Egypt, which is made up of 40 Egyptian Islamic parties, has issued a report urging Morsi supporters to hold massive nationwide demonstrations to mark the 3rd anniversary of Mubarak's removal. The alliance also encouraged demonstrators to stage symbolic rallies near foreign embassies and consulates and condemn their support for the military-backed interim government. In other news, hundreds of thousands of people are reported to have gathered on the streets of the Iranian capital to mark the 35th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution. The revolution was set in motion in 1979 after a siege began some 10 months following the fall of the US allied Shah. Radical students stormed the US embassy, taking 52 people hostage. They were released after 444 days, and the siege ended Washington's diplomatic relations with Tehran.
Most recently, Iran reached an interim agreement with Western powers to curb its nuclear program, which the West suspects is meant to develop a nuclear bomb. Activities to mark the anniversary come a day after Iran successfully tested 2 missiles, according to the official IRNA news agency. Iran's ballistic missile program has long been a source of concern for Western nations because it's capable of striking its arch-enemy, Israel.
On to sport now. Manchester City manager Emmanuel Pellegrini got his calculations wrong on Chelsea's spending during the January transfer window, and this according to the Blues boss, Jose Mourinho.
I think he's a fantastic coach, and I respect that a lot. And in the top of that, outside his football career, he's an engineer by academic formation. And I don't think an engineer needs a calculator to do Mata 37, more or less. And De Bruyne 18 is 55. Matic is 21 and Salah is 11, is 32. 55 minus 32 is 23. So Chelsea in this transfer window, I'm speaking roughly, 23 million pounds plus. To say something about the end of the season is very, very difficult, because between the first and the fourth, we are speaking about 6 points. 6 points are 2 matches. 2 matches, when you have 13 to play, is nothing. So mathematically, and more than mathematically, I think all the top 4 can win the title. Independent of the mathematic, I still think that other teams, they are in better conditions than us.
The real Jose Mourinho there. And that marks the end of NTV at 1 this afternoon. Coming up is Omumuri, where you'll get more results analysis and fixtures for the upcoming games. And of course, including news of our local sports here in Uganda. Have a good afternoon.
NTV, turning on your world.
She describes herself as curious, caring and fun. However, she is also